Hey investors, today we're going to look at the Tuscaloosa, Alabama real estate market and see if it's a good market to purchase investment properties and or rental properties. In this video, we're going to analyze a currently listed property to see what the returns look like for investors like you or me. If this is your first time to the channel, I'm Dave Hathaway. On this channel, we discuss real estate investing and building wealth. So welcome. The property we're going to look at this week is 1510 18th Street, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35404. Before we actually look at that property, we always like to take a deep dive on the market itself to see if it's growing, it's declining, and really take a deep dive into the overall market before we look at the specifics of a property. So in Tuscaloosa, the major economic drivers are number 1, manufacturing, number 2, education, and number 3, tourism. It does not have any Fortune 500 companies headquartered there, and it doesn't have any major league sports, but it does have the University of Alabama's Crimson Tide, which has lots of national championships in a variety of sports. So it is a big college town, and it doesn't have an international airport, which we like to see. So moving on, the population of Tuscaloosa is 116,990, and it's growing at a rate of 2.81%, which is pretty hefty. If you look at the graph, it just goes up and to the right. So it is a great growing market. People are actually moving there. Unemployment is 2.8%, which is low, under the national average. Average salaries are $46,000 a year. That's relatively low. Median sales price is $248,000. It's actually up 10% year over year. And the average days on market are about 20, which is down 9 days from last year. So this is a hot market. Median rents are about $1,450, and the price to rent ratio is about 14.25. If you have a price to rent ratio under 15, you're usually able to find cash flowing properties. So let's find out. Overall market verdict, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I would love to see some like major sports teams or international airports, because that usually attracts larger businesses that support higher salary jobs, which then in turn would pump up the sales price of properties. But overall market fundamentals are good. So we'll give it a thumbs up there. Moving on to the Google Street Views test. And looking around the neighborhood, I don't think I see anything out of the ordinary. This is just a normal residential neighborhood. Decent, not a ton of trash. The only thing I will note is that these pictures are taken in 2013, so a bit dated. If I was going to purchase this property, I definitely want an agent to go out to the property and give it a good look around, maybe send me some pictures of the neighborhood. But overall, the Google Street View test gets a pass. Moving on to the listing details of the property. This property is listed for $209,900. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, single-family home. It's 2,046 square feet, so relatively large, built in 2009, so not that old. And the rehab suggestions that I have looking at the different pictures is I would definitely paint the front door, give it a touch of color, or just replace it with a really nice front door. And then going into the kitchen, I'd swap out the kitchen appliances with stainless steel appliances. I'd also installed an over-the-range microwave and probably bump that middle cabinet up where there's currently just an exhaust vent. And then I'd also swap out the kitchen lights as they look extremely dated. The last thing I do on the property is I like to wrap anything that's wood, and it looks like the pillars are pretty beat up and they'd either need a coat of paint, or you can just wrap them with white aluminum so you don't have to paint them again, and so they're going to be good and not exposed to the elements. I think this rehab budget would be somewhere in between like $5,000 and $6,000. We're just going to estimate that it's $5,000 in the analyzer. So moving on to the analyzer, Zillow estimates rent to be about $1,950 for this property. I mean, looking around at comps, you can probably get that, but you'd probably have to have a little bit nicer finishes. So I'm going to estimate Looking at comps, about 1,875. So 75 under what Zillow thinks they can rent it for. And property taxes on the property are $1,951, which is pretty great. Looking at the analyzer, it would cash flow if you purchase it with all cash about $1,294.92, or about 7.04% cash on cash return. If we in turn put a 30-year fixed loan or a 30-year DSCR fixed rate loan at around 7%, it would cash flow about $208.62, or about 4.53%. So definitely not amazing. It does cash flow, which I always like. But if we were to, instead of offering the listing price, we lowered it, which is $209, we lowered our offer to $195, it bumps that cash on cash return up to $300. And if it was $300 or up, I'd give it a thumbs up. I do want to note that I think appreciation here is going to be what I claim is low to slow. So you're not going to have this massive appreciation. I think this would be a good long-term rental, and it would just build up equity over time. Again, this isn't going to make you wealthy overnight, but real estate is a long-term game. It's a long-term play. So my final thoughts on the market are, I'm going to go ahead and bless the market. And if you're finding a cash flowing property similar to this one, but you're getting over $300 a month cash flow, I'll bless that property as well. I just wouldn't expect a ton of upside as far as massive appreciation. I don't think these properties, because of all the economic drivers, international airport, without the major sports team, I don't think you're going to get a ton of companies moving to the area. So I think you're going to have a limited upside. But I think this one would be a great one to just add in the portfolio and just be, that slow and steady tortoise in the hare, just earning income, being tax advantaged. So I'm going to go ahead and bless this one with the right offer. If you guys have followed it this far, love for you to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week.